90+%. I don't think we rode together 90+% of that ride.
Yes, seriously. Oh, yeah.
Who got the truth? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Who got the truth now? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Sit me down, say it straight. Another story on the way. Who got the truth?
Welcome to episode 19 of Acquired, the podcast where we talk about technology acquisitions. I'm Ben Gilbert.
I'm David Rosenthal.
And we are your hosts. Today's episode is the big news of the last few weeks, Walmart acquiring Jet.com.
I think this set a new record in terms of episode requests that I got, Ben.
Yeah, if you combine email, Slack, in-person, Twitter, I think I personally saw north of 10.
We got to give the people what they want.
It's true. Before we dive into it, I want to do a community spotlight. We have a listener. His name is Chris Laurent, and he has an app called Now Do, invoicing like it's the future. So Now Do is to do super fast invoicing for teams. It's actually a Slack app powered by Stripe. And if you're interested in doing some invoicing for your team, you should go check them out. They're at nowdo.ai, which I love those AI TLDs.
Absolutely.
So listeners out there, let us know. Get at us at acquiredfm@gmail.com, on the website, on Twitter, if you would like to be on the next community showcase. And we'd love to tell everyone what you're up to.
Yep. Or on Slack. And if you're not in the Slack community, go to our website to join. Lots of good discussion from lots of people, not just Ben and me.
Acquired.fm. A breath of fresh air from David and I.
All right, listeners. Now is a great time to talk about a new partner of ours here on Acquired, Legora, the agentic operating system that is redefining how the world's best legal teams work.
Yep. It's sort of obvious that AI is going to completely change the legal industry. I bet most of you listening have dropped a contract into some sort of AI chatbot out there. Legora took that insight and asked the question, what if you really built something with that power from the ground up for the legal industry?
So the founders did exactly what great founders do, operate with obsessive customer focus. They embedded inside a massive law firm for months. They sat with the lawyers just watching how the work really gets done.
And that's how you get features that customers love, like tabular review, where you drop in a folder of hundreds of contracts and it pulls every key term into a grid a lawyer can actually work with. Legora's bet here is interesting. Since it lets each lawyer handle more complexity, any given person can increase the quality of their work and do higher value work. And this means that the pie can grow even as each individual task takes less time.
And they recently launched Legora Agent, offering greater intelligence and performance. The agent lets lawyers set an objective. Then it can handle the planning and the execution and delivery of the final product. Legal teams get to maintain full control and transparency since they're still involved where judgment is required.
And Legora works where you already work. You can use it within Microsoft Word while redlining or drafting. The early Legora numbers essentially speak for themselves. When they have a head-to-head pilot with their top competitor, they win 70% of the time. Legora now has over 100,000 lawyers on the platform from 1,200 legal teams in 50 countries. And crazily, they went from 1 million to 100 million in ARR in about 18 months.
Truly insane numbers. And that is the real test. Plenty of things demo well, but the question is whether a busy associate actually reaches for it during crunch time, or whether a partner trusts it before going into a conversation with a major client. If your legal team wants to check it out, whether you're a law firm or you're in-house at a company, you can learn more at legora.com/acquired and just tell them that Ben and David sent you.
So, on to this week's topic. David, you want to do the acquisition history and facts?
As always. Jet.com, blockbuster acquisition this month by Walmart. Over $3 billion for a company that was 2 years old, but had only been public for a year. But the story actually starts...
And not gone public, but...
it had been launched publicly for a year. But the story starts way before then, actually. Back in 2005, when Mark Lowry, who is one of the co-founders and CEO of Jet, founded another company called Quidsy, which you may or may not have heard of, but you may know its main operating business, which was diapers.com.
Killer domain.
Killer domain name. And the Quidsy story actually starts even earlier than that, when Mark started his first company, which got sold to Topps, the trading card company, and he moved out here to Seattle to run this new division of Topps. And when he was here in Seattle, he was thinking about going into e-commerce and starting diapers.com. And his daughter went to a private school here in Seattle that Jeff Bezos' children just happened to go to as well.
Hey.
And so they met at like a school picnic one day and chatted about e-commerce, and little did they know the intersections that would be to come.
Wow. So this is 2001, before he started Quidsy. Jeff was obviously, 6-7 years in full force with Amazon.
Yep. Sometime between 2001 and 2005, this happened.
Wow. Okay. So, e-commerce was a thing. Amazon was, they were not a startup anymore. This was a very real company. It's not like they were both ideating that maybe e-commerce will be a thing together.
No, Amazon was a thing.
Yeah.
Public company. And Lori was thinking about jumping into the fray, which he did in 2005 when he started diapers.com. And there is a great history of diapers.com. Would make a good episode for us someday, but it's already been covered very well in The Everything Store, which is the fantastic book about Amazon. The punchline is that after a protracted negotiation during which Amazon tried to basically clone and then compete with and undercut on prices for everything, diapers.com and all of their other soap.com and many other properties, Amazon ended up acquiring the company in 2010 for $545 million.
Do you know why that didn't work? It seems like Amazon would have the resources to continue to deep discount, win on price, and then eventually put them out of business.
They would, but there is an important other player in this story, which we will see comes back again the second time, that Walmart was also interested in acquiring diapers.com.
Oh, wow. So it came to
had
the
made a
point
bid for the company.
I see. So Amazon's strategy maybe was working.
Very defensive, prevent, literally in the Everything Store, the Brad Stone writes about that Bezos gave direction to his corp dev team, like, do not under any circumstances allow Walmart to buy this company.
Wow. Yeah, super interesting.
Super interesting. So Amazon buys diapers. Lori and the many employees of Quidsy go and work for Amazon. The Quidsy was established in New Jersey, actually in Hoboken. So Mark moved.
And as was Jet, right? Jet's based out of
New Jersey. Yeah. So Amazon, much like they did with Zappos, left diapers alone. It's still an independently operating company, fully owned by Amazon. Lori continues to run it for a couple of years, and 2 years later, in 2013, he leaves, and he starts thinking about what he's going to do next.
Was that on good terms? Do you know how he left?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, especially now that the Jet acquisition has happened. As chronicled in the Everything Store and elsewhere, the negotiations and the tactics that Amazon used in acquiring diapers were aggressive. And Lori was not a fan of Amazon, and especially after having worked there. And so when he leaves in 2013, which is pretty quickly, we don't know what the terms of his retention package were, but I got to imagine it was longer than sort of 2-ish years that he stayed there.
Yeah.
He's kind of got a chip on his shoulder, and he wants to gun for Amazon and Bezos kind of with a vengeance. Yeah,
and I think he rips on, when he was starting Jet or talking about the reasons behind starting Jet, he rips on Amazon's culture a little bit. And he's talking about, among the many ways that he wants to compete with Amazon on Jet being, well, I'll leave you to tell the business strategy, but he wants to create a place that's not such a cutthroat culture.
Absolutely. I've got the quote right here. He gives a quote in the New York Times after he leaves Amazon and as he's starting Jet. He says, at Amazon, I saw that it didn't matter how you treated people. You just paid them enough so you didn't care if you burned them out, and then you got new people and burned them out. It was an environment of very short-term thinking.
Wow. Which is, we talk about Amazon all the time on the show, and we praise them for their incredible long-term thinking.
Yeah, I don't think of Amazon as an environment of short-term thinking, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So he starts Jet in the summer of 2014, and the idea that he has is that Amazon obviously is very, very good at what it does, but Amazon's core customer is not your average American. It's the upper class, it's wealthy individuals, upper middle class, people who actually care. They care about price, but they also care a lot about convenience and selection. Amazon's Holy Trinity, which we will come back to. And he thinks there's an opportunity to compete directly with Amazon and to compete on price, to be the low price discount retailer on the internet. And the model that he has for that is Costco.
Another great Seattle company.
The intersections are just amazing here. And so another quote that he says as he's starting the company in this interview is he says, there's this huge middle class of people that are going to be spending more and more dollars online. And for them, it's going to be all about price, and that they'll be willing to trade off convenience and selection versus price. So he has this big vision. He's going to win the core middle class of America away from Amazon. And he's not going about this small. He goes big. So he raises a seed round from NEA, Excel, Bain, and WTI as he's starting the company. So this is July 2014, 1 year away from launch. Just starting the company, raises $80 million right off the bat.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, anybody who's going out and raising a seed now and knowing what valuation you're getting, like, there are a small handful of people in the world that could do a seed like that and instill enough trust to say, yeah, my seed venture, you can have 20 to 25% of it or something for $80 million. That's
incredible. And he's not done. He doesn't stop there. February of 2015, we're still months away from launch. They haven't sold a single thing. The website isn't live, anything. He raises another $140 million. So before they even launch the company, launch the product, he's raised $220 million.
Wow. And I remember hearing about this when it was going on, and everyone that had been burned in the late 90s talking about, oh my God, the bubble's back. This company it doesn't even have a great plan to make revenue. They haven't launched a product yet.
Pets.com all over again.
Yeah.
Needless to say, there was a lot of hype when they finally launched on July 21st, 2015. So just over a year ago as we sit here today. And when they launched, they spent a ton of that money on advertising, customer acquisition. I remember I was in New York City last fall, shortly after they launched, and Jet had bought out felt like half of the subways on New York City, in New York City, and there billboards all over the place, all over the country. They did not play small ball here.
Yeah, and I think they had a pretty successful organic invite campaign too, where they gave people 6 months of free membership. I think it was called the Jet Insider Program. Yeah, I have it here.
Yep.
And refers were given up to, that's it, 6 months of free site membership, and they got almost 400,000 people, 350,000 people that signed up for the early membership program. So, I mean, that's pretty incredible to be able to build a base of 350,000 users pre-launch.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did it by, as you mentioned, giving away free membership for 6 months. So we mentioned a minute ago that the model for how Lori and Jet were going to compete with Amazon was they were going to use the Costco model. And so the idea was that Jet was a membership site, and it cost $50 a year to be a member. And
half of Prime. Yep, half of Prime. And that the company, Lori, was super explicit about this, that much like Costco, if you actually look at Costco's financial statements and you take the amount of money that they make from membership fees
and you look at their net income, like it's basically the same thing. They make no money on everything they sell in the store. The only money they make is from the membership fees. And so that was what Jet was going to do. So this isn't us talking. This is straight from Lori here. Quote, he says, "The bottom line is we're basically not making a dime on any of the transactions. We're passing it all back to the consumer." So they weren't going to charge membership fees for 6 months. If you were part of a Jet Insider, you didn't have to pay for 6 months, but then they were going to charge $50 a year.
Which really is only a $25 value. I mean, we're actually, for those of us who are no longer price sensitive because to a membership fee like that, because we're used to paying $100 of Prime a year, like giving me $25 toward that, sure, like that's interesting, but it's not like, it doesn't seem like a huge reward, and it doesn't seem like a huge barrier to keep me away from signing up either. Like the convenience afforded by fast shipping, and I guess they weren't quite doing as fast shipping, but free shipping, it seems of course worth a Prime membership, or this case.
Well, and so then it comes down to like, okay, so what was Jet actually doing? And the whole idea, again, was that price was most important. And so they had a goal that everything that you would buy on Jet would be 10 to 15% cheaper than you could get anywhere else online. And by that, they meant Amazon. So they actually built a lot of tech around this. And the whole idea was to incentivize customers to buy more than one thing at a time. So like the default behavior that Lori saw with Amazon, and that, you know, I definitely fall into this category. I don't know if you do, Ben, too, is that once you're a Prime member, you're like, oh, I need this. I'm going to order it like right now, one off. Like I'm not going to wait and order a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Whenever I need something, I just order it and it comes.
Right. And they've slipped away from that a little bit with things like Prime Pantry or add-on items where I no longer
subscribe
feel
and
like,
save, which they got from diapers.com.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, with those kind of mechanics, I'm a little bit less confident in Amazon actually than I was, call it 3 years ago before those things, when I would just be like, oh, I'll just Prime it. I'm sure it will get here, and I'm sure I'll be able to get it free and right now. And you know, when that's the promise for so long, and then you have a couple of these things where it's like you need to buy something else to get the free shipping, it does actually sting you a little bit.
It does. And so what Jet did, couple things. You had to hit minimum order amounts to get free shipping. But also, as you added more items to your cart, and in particular items, and they would surface these items and incentivize you to do it, that were physically located in the same fulfillment center.
So it costs less to assemble.
So it costs less to assemble this package, and you could send it all in one box. They would then drop the price on your items in your total order as you were basically doing these behaviors that they were incentivizing. And the idea was, and another thing that they did and still do is, I believe, is if you use a debit card instead of a credit card, you'll get a 1.5%.
Well, they give you half the interchange back.
Yep, they give you half the interchange back. This is super interesting. If you waive your right to return anything, then they'll give you an extra discount on if you waive your right to return certain items, they'll give you a discount on those items.
That's so interesting. I mean, all these things are like wildly ambitious, very interesting. They're intuitive.
Yep,
like
and require a lot of technology, actually.
Right. A lot of technology and a ton of financial modeling. I mean, you have to imagine that they're figuring out what return rates are, what it's worth to them, if they're going to make the trade-off between customer maybe getting dissatisfied with something they have and blaming the Jet brand versus how much it costs them to facilitate the return and actually accept the thing back. All this is very ambitious and interesting. Maybe too short of a time frame since it's only been a year, but like, did it work? Interesting.
So let's remember all of this. You know, the stated goal is all the savings that we're going to get operationally from this, we're going to pass back to the consumer, and we're going to. Our starting prices are going to be so low anyway that we're basically not making any gross margin anyway. Right. And the whole idea was the membership fee would make up for that. Well, a couple months go by. We get to October 2015, and the other shoe drops. And for whatever reason, I got to imagine the internal data was showing that it was a flop.
And that's like 3 months after they launched?
Yeah, 3 months after they launch. Jet announces that they're dropping the membership fee. So it's now completely free, open to anyone to shop on Jet. And the prices are still going to be really low. So they basically said, our only profit engine, we're killing. I'm reminded of the quote that people often, they don't really anymore, but they used to talk about Amazon, like the equity analysts would say that, when they were down on Amazon, that it was a charity being run for the benefit of the American consumer. Well, Jet literally became a charity being run for the benefit of the American consumer.
Wow.
So Lori's, statement on this was that they decided that on some items, the data showed them that they actually didn't need to discount 10 to 15%. They would only discount 4 to 5%. And that's how they would make money. But remember, again, they're discounting 4 to 5% relative to Amazon, which already has incredibly low prices and drives massive and can get those prices through massive scale and negotiating power with suppliers and their incredible supply chain and everything.
So with all those advantages, Amazon still maintains this razor thin
profit margin. So the idea that you could take Amazon's profit gross margin on items, knock it down by another 4 to 5%, do all the fulfillment yourself, and still make money, perhaps suspect here. But nonetheless, the very next month, in November of 2015, they managed to raise another $350 million round that Fidelity leads. This time, it was publicized at a $1.4 billion post-money valuation.
Okay, so David, you are a venture capitalist. You get Mark Lowry approaching you for this round. Why would you do that?
I got to imagine, if not slide one, but somewhere in the pitch deck is the slide that says, oh yeah, our profit model, we just killed that.
Right. So what could possibly be the thing where you're like, we painted it as a pretty negative story so far. Why would you do it?
Here's why you do it. So they announce the round in November 2015, another $350 million. In December 2015, in Q4 holidays, the big moment for retail, at the end of December, they announced that they now have 2 million active customers and that they did $33 million in revenue in December alone. This is for a company that only launched 6 months ago. So this is incredible growth.
So it's growth, even though, even at this point in history, you would have been still suspect on the unit economics of the business. It still seems like a good investment opportunity.
Go, Ben. I'm sure this was the story, was and is still the story, that to compete with somebody like Amazon in e-commerce and in retail, you need to acquire customers and you need to make a huge splash and you need to just make this massive investment in that customer acquisition plus the infrastructure. And to do that, you're going to have to lose money for a long time. And Amazon itself lost money for a long time, as we all know.
Yeah. And I wonder too, is Mark Lowry going in and making that pitch without any hedges and saying, this is a 100-year company, we're going to be enduring, we're going to serve the middle class, or is there something in there where you're like, ooh, this could be a quick turnaround, like something like this Walmart thing could happen?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Whether this was a slide in the pitch deck, literally or metaphorically, we'll never know. But I got to imagine going through all of these investors' minds are, hey, this is a get to scale play, and if Jet can get to scale, maybe there's some chance that they can build a sustainable standalone business here. But there are a lot of people in this world who are very threatened by Amazon and who would love to have an opportunity to bring into their fold an at-scale e-commerce business, of which there are basically one in the world, in the US right now, which is Amazon.
Right.
So, we'll get to that in a second. So that was December 2015. May 2016, so a couple months ago, Jet announces again that now they did $90 million in revenue in May of 2016. So they've tripled monthly revenue from the December holidays. And December, of course, is the biggest revenue month for any retailer.
So their year over year would have been way up.
Way. Well, it was infinite because they weren't even launched in May of 2015.
Right, but presuming that they could compare it to a quarter.
Right, the growth is incredible. Yeah. No doubt about that. But what was interesting is shortly after that announcement, last month, so July 2016. Lori does another interview with Fortune. I think it's clearly PR was one of their customer acquisition strategies.
Yeah.
And Lori is very good at that and has always been. But it's interesting, this quote that he says in this interview last month, he says, well, this being American retail e-commerce has never been a winner-take-all market, which... he wasn't exactly saying it was before, but he was kind of like, hey, Amazon, I'm coming for you. I'm going to beat you. Right. Before that, he says, this has never been a winner-take-all market. There will be a really large number 2, 3, and 4, and we can be one of those. So he's basically said, I give up. I can't be number 1.
All right, listeners, now is a great time to tell you about a longtime friend of the show, Vanta. AI has scrambled the whole security picture. It used to be that you proved that you were secure once a year, an audit or a static PDF, then everyone would nod and you're done. But in an AI-first world, that doesn't hold up anymore.
Yep, your risk surface changes every week now. A vendor turns on an AI feature or someone writes in a new model without telling IT, and your posture is different than it was last week, let alone at your last audit. Vanta's own research found that around 70% of companies have this quote-unquote shadow AI running with no security review at all.
Right. And that's where Vanta comes in. They're the leading agentic trust platform, meaning they've built the thing that closes the gap. And the way that they close that gap is Vanta Agent. Think of it as a GRC engineer, that's governance, risk, and compliance, except that it's software and it doesn't sleep. It finds the issues, drafts the fixes, and cuts the time that you'd spend on vendor assessments in half.
In half! Which is exactly why more than 16,000 companies today run on Vanta. Companies like Ramp, Cursor, and Snowflake all stay audit ready and catch the risks that crop up between audits across every vendor, every AI tool, the whole environment.
And that's the real value. Trust has to be continuous now, which is why Vanta automates your security, your compliance, and the work to earn and prove trust. We're huge fans of Vanta over here, and literally hundreds of acquired listeners have become Vanta customers at their companies over the years. So you can get $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/acquired. That's VANTA.com/acquired for $1,000 off, and just tell them that Ben and David sent you.
So this is a good time. I mean, a lot of times we pause and wait for tech trends till later. For new listeners, we've got our sections coming up, our acquisition category, what would have happened otherwise, what tech theme does this illustrate for you, then we grade the acquisition. And rather than saving this for what tech themes, David, is he wrong about the future, that the economics that the internet creates can turn retail into a winner-take-all market?
Well, I think, if you go back to our favorite analyst on this show, Ben Thompson, and, the idea of aggregation theory, this kind of is the underpinning, sort of ideology of the internet and internet business models, is that you can take all of these industries that before the internet were by necessity fragmented and could have multiple winners because you needed physical store space in, every market in town. And that led to, some companies would do better in some locations than others and others. All of a sudden, there's only one storefront and it's a website. And that can lead to just this huge ability to aggregate, if you can create the best customer experience, and we'll get back to this a lot. I want to talk about the idea of the customer experience of Amazon versus the customer experience of Jet, that the best customer experience is going to win and be a winner take all.
Yeah. And I'm trying to look up a stat here. E-commerce has a percentage of U.S. retail revenue. In 2012, I'm sure it's only a few percentage points more now, but in 2012, it was like 5%. Like, there is so much of retail that is transacted physically that has yet to move to online. And you and I were talking about this the other day. about I'm doing the dumb thing where I try and time the market and wait for a little dip in Amazon so I can buy it, and then realize like that short-term little gain, and then hold on to it for the long while. And you're making the obvious point that, Ben, there's so much retail that still has to move to online. There's 10x or 100x more growth left in this company if they continue to conquer the way that they are. And I do wonder, as all this, the 90% of retail that's left physically as it moves to online, is that Mark Lowry comment, is history going to disprove that, right? Is it, maybe it will be a winner take all market, because if you vertically integrate and have all of the distribution centers
and the best customer experience.
Yeah, and you have all that under one roof, like Amazon, or maybe what Jet could be. Maybe retail is a winner take all in the future.
Well, I think we should talk a lot more about that. We'll just wrap up real quick. Yeah. Acquisition history and facts, because we're at the end here. So August 8th, last week, as we're recording this, bombshell announcement: Walmart acquires Jet for $3.3 billion, $3 billion in cash, and $300 million in stock retention incentives for employees. So a couple quick things on this. One, Mark Lowry is going to continue to run Jet. It'll be a standalone property, taking the Amazon model here, like Zappos and like diapers. But he's also going to run Walmart.com. And they have a pretty significant lockup on him. So a huge portion, it's been reported that a undisclosed but huge portion of his financial outcome from this deal, both in the stock incentives that were the $300 million, and I think also a big part of what he would earn from the cash up front, is going to be subject to him staying at Walmart for 5 years.
Wow.
Which is quite long compared to traditional lockups in tech acquisitions.
Right. And he owned a tremendous amount of this company still, something like a quarter or a third, even after all this money.
Even after all that money raised, yeah. Don't know exactly because we don't know the valuations on the early rounds, but he definitely owned a lot. And super interesting, and so much of the press, both the press and the actual statements from Walmart about this deal are, clearly a lot is about.
Yeah,
Mark.
The fact that they're putting in the acquisition announcement that he's going to run Walmart.com, it's like, obviously you don't pay $3.3 billion for a person, but they really wanted Mark Lowry.
Well, we'll get into that next in acquisition category, but to come back to this idea of is there going to be a really large number 2, 3, 4 in U.S. retail e-commerce? Man, it is really hard for me to imagine that.
Yeah, I think right now, I was trying to do some research the other day into who is the number 2 to Amazon right now. Like, is there a meaningful second large e-commerce site? And what it comes down to is that there are category by category. I was talking to a friend who used to work at Amazon, and he was saying that in electronics, there's obviously like your Best Buys of the world that dominate online in that category, still generally way behind Amazon, but there is no massive horizontal platform like Amazon is that gives you a strong number 2.
Yeah, and I think let's continue this discussion in tech themes, but let's do category first. So. This is a tough one. Where are you going to put it, Ben?
Yeah, so I sort of have like a little flow chart here. I don't believe that Microsoft... That's a good Freudian slip. I don't believe that Walmart will independently operate Jet.com forever. I think that they take the learnings from that and roll it into their business. They could do something really insane and bet the farm on Jet, that they actually keep Jet alive and pour all the Walmart.com resources into that. But I don't think they'll do it. I think what ends up happening is they run Jet as a standalone thing for a few more years. They take the learnings from it. Maybe even they take the entire model and rebrand Jet.com as Walmart.com and keep that entire model as the way to do Walmart e-commerce. But if they had permanently kept it alive, I would have said business line, but since I have low confidence in that, it's a people and a technology acquisition.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more the people that know how to build the technology. I think they've probably built a tremendous amount of interesting technology now, but it's really the fact that Walmart, other than Walmart Labs, who built the mobile app, but that's much less sophisticated, doesn't have in their DNA a strong technology background. And I think with buying such a large group of people who are running such a fast-growing business, it's like, can we overcome this tipping point of making this actually a place for technologists to go like Amazon is, rather than what you usually see in these scenarios of buying a smaller company and those people just attrit at some point. It's like, is Jet a big enough buy that we actually can tip the scales and say, you know what, you are a sophisticated developer and architect that
or product person or whatever.
That is interested in building the future of this stuff. This is the most interesting place to be.
Yep. No question there's that part of it. As I was thinking about this, I was going through our standard rubric of categories, and I kind of went down the list. I'm like, okay, well, people, there's definitely a big aspect of that in Lori and the other people at Jet. Technology, also, exactly as you were saying, a big aspect of that to this deal. Product, I don't think there's really a lot of product here because, Jet was retail platform, not a product itself. So maybe not that one as much. Business line, yep, they're adding the jet.com business line. And then asset too, the category we added last time with Waze. Very much. So in the press release that Walmart puts out here, they note that they make sure to, I think the second bullet that they call out about the rationale is that Jet has a growing customer base of urban and millennial customers.
Boy, that doesn't sound like Walmart space.
Yeah. Who does not shop at Walmart? Urban and millennial customers. So there's definitely an asset buy here in the customer base. I think you're right, though. At the core, the two biggest reasons are the people and the technology. But it kind of could fit into multiple buckets here.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's funny, as you say, that the millennial generation and the urban dwellers are more of the Jet base, and that's so obviously not Walmart. I saw a couple comparisons on a couple other podcasts I listened to, and then Instratechery to Walmart being this generation's Sears, and kind of fading into irrelevancy because the factors that made them big are not aligned with the current generation. And you see this incredible trend toward urbanization and in a very meta way, Amazon setting the trend for what does a modern urban campus look like, rather than being out in the suburbs and industrial parks. And Jet just caters to that demographic and plays on that trend so much better than Walmart's existing business.
So do we think that this means that we're going to see biodomes in Hoboken?
Nailed it. That's exactly what I mean. For those of you not in Seattle, Amazon is building these super crazy, is it biospheres?
Biospheres,
right? Yeah. Obviously, biodome is
probably sure.
But it's like an indoor or like an indoor Central Park type thing for Amazon employees and people in.
I think it's going to be open to the public.
Oh, really?
Right in downtown Seattle. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Right in the middle of Amazon's campus. I'm
trying to take off my, obviously we're huge fans of Amazon here. So I'm really trying to take off my Amazon's going to take over the world hat when looking at this thing. Cause I think more and more, even over the past year with Amazon's tremendous growth and just having a lot more faith in their long-term plan, I just start evaluating things as, are they really going to compete with Amazon? And I think that's a pretty fair assessment, but in looking
they're
at Jet,
this generation's Microsoft,
right.
In the 90s, any company that was trying to raise venture capital, the first question would be well, what are you going to do when Microsoft starts competing with you?
And then Google, that was the question
Google,
for a while.
And then Facebook.
So this is a great allegory. So mobile undid Microsoft, or at least the old Microsoft way. What will be the thing that pushes Amazon into irrelevancy?
Yeah, great question. And I think this is obviously, self-admittedly, we're both huge Amazon fanboys here, but I don't think it's Jet, you know? I think it's something, and I think there's also a good chance that
You mean like it wasn't the Mac?
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a good chance that whatever that is comes from Amazon itself. They're making big investments into drones with Prime Air. Like that could be hugely disruptive because that changes the economics of delivery and fulfillment. It could be voice that they're doing with Alexa because that changes the customer experience of how you order. It could be 3D printing, right? With like products that you're buying don't get made at a factory anymore. They get made, maybe they get made at your house, but maybe they get made locally and then, just last mile delivered to you. Amazon's investing in that too. Like it's hard to see, what maybe virtual reality, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. The other lens to look at that through is maybe, we're just mixing tech themes all through here this episode, but it's one of the things that is talked about with why Apple nailed mobile is because Apple like skipped a generation and lost the previous war. So it's like who's sitting out this one and will be like way behind and gasping their last breath to come up with something truly innovative that unseats Amazon.
I've been thinking about this too. There's a great article that we'll link to in the show notes. Series of articles that have come out this week on Apple, interviews with the senior team.
Yeah, they're doing a ton of PR right now.
They must be trying to hide
ready
something.
for the September 9th thing.
Yep. But there's a really good one with Tim Cook, and he kind of talks about this a little bit, and I love this because in tech, like it's so easy for us to like always be thinking like, what's the next thing? Like, what's the, and he talks about this, like the interviewer asked him, iPhone growth is slowing, it actually was down last quarter. Like what's next after mobile? Like, is it a car? Is it, AR? And Tim makes this great point. He's like, mobile is the greatest market that technology has ever seen. And we are still so early in it. Like, every person on the planet is going to have a smartphone, and half of them do already.
And but many people that never had computers have smartphones.
Exactly. Like, you can't even compare, like, let's look at the auto industry. Like, it's way smaller than the phone industry. And his point is that, like, he says mobile still has so many amazing years of growth ahead of it. Like, it's, to use an Amazon phrase, it's day one, still 10 years into the smartphone. And I think Amazon is kind of the same thing. Like, that's their phrase. It's day one. Like, e-commerce is day one. There's still so much ahead of it.
Yeah.
It's 5% of U.S. retail. Like, there's so much ahead of it.
Yeah. I was going to refute the Tim Cook thing because like 2.5 billion people or 3 billion people or something have smartphones. So there's like 2 to 3x more growth left in it.
Well, his point was that his point wasn't so much that. It was like, think about all of the corners of your life that your smartphone is going to be a critical part of in the future that it isn't today. Like Uber, great example. Like who would have thought the smartphone would have like been your taxi a couple years ago, and now it is. But like, is the smartphone your doctor today? No. Will it be in 5 or 10 years? Maybe.
Right.
Is the smartphone, whatever. Was the smartphone how you bought stuff on Amazon 5 years ago? No. Is it how you buy stuff on Amazon now? Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, and you make a great point on the retail thing. Like, it's cheesy, but like it really is day one. Like, people overwhelmingly still don't buy their stuff online.
So yeah, I mean, I think of course there are things that waves that will come along that could disrupt Amazon. But it's also like they Bezos has architected that company so well that like they're out at the front of every wave I can see, at least.
All right, listeners. Now is a great time to thank our longtime friend of the show, ServiceNow. If you are running a large enterprise, AI agents are likely spread across every team, and deploying them is no longer the hard part.
Yeah. The hard part is knowing what permissions they have, what employees are using them for, or what decisions AI is making. AI security for an enterprise at scale is not a small concern. Like, the risks are real.
Exactly. And the challenge with AI is governing it, securing it, measuring it, and making sure that it actually delivers value. That is why ServiceNow built the AI Control Tower.
Yep. AI Control Tower gives enterprises a single place to see, manage, govern, and optimize AI across the entire business. And it works with any AI, not just theirs. Every device on your network, every permission across every system, every AI agent visible and secure in one place.
And ServiceNow can do this because they've spent more than 20 years building the operational backbone of the enterprise, the workflows, governance, approvals, security controls, and institutional knowledge that power how work actually gets done across IT, HR, customer service, finance, and security.
ServiceNow already runs more than 100 billion workflows annually and trillions of transactions for more than 85% of the Fortune 500. So when companies need a place to govern AI at enterprise scale, they're building on a platform at the center of how their business already operates.
And in a future that isn't going to be one AI, it's going to be thousands of AI agents working across every function of the company. But the question is, who's managing them all?
So if you're trying to turn AI ambition into real business outcomes and make it work safely, securely, at scale, go check out servicenow.com/acquired and tell them that Ben and David sent you. All right, let's get into what would have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you one thing that would not have happened. Jet would not have sold to Amazon under any circumstances. I mean, I can't imagine Lori, working for Jeff again.
Yeah. And okay, so that's not a possibility. So the Walmart thing falls through. Let's say Walmart's just not willing to pay the price tag. Is it like to Target or one of the other sort of bigger
or Google
retailers? Well, why a technology company? Like why a Google or?
Well, Google's been experimenting in many ways over the last couple of years with trying to compete with Amazon in different ways. There's Google Shopping Express,
which has never really been
taken off, but they sunk a ton of money into that, and a whole bunch of initiatives. I don't think any of which have really worked, but that they're working on.
Yeah.
And so you could imagine that, because I don't know if they still are, but for a long time, Amazon was the number one advertiser on Google. They spent more money on AdWords than anyone else in the world.
Oh man, I totally believe that because it's amazing when you search for a product now, how your organic search result and your paid search result are both for that product on Amazon.
And neither Google nor Amazon are happy about that. Amazon is aggressively trying to do everything they can to reduce that dependency.
Right. It's like Amazon's paying the Google tax.
Yeah, exactly. And Google is like, oh man, that's a huge opportunity. And that's the biggest part of our business. How can we just do that directly?
Yeah. And oh man, this is a really interesting fact. So I've been using smile.amazon.com for a long time. They basically take the affiliate fee that you would be giving to, whoever referred you, like clicking through from the Wirecutter or something, and donate that to the charity of your choice. And I was like, that's so interesting. I always wondered, what's the motive for Amazon to do that? And they basically are trying to give you a strong enough incentive to bookmark it so that you hit Amazon as direct traffic instead of going through Google and paying that customer acquisition tax.
Because even though they'll then pay that affiliate fee on everything you buy, they won't be paying the AdWord tax to Google.
Yeah. It's like, we'd rather donate this money than give it to Google.
Yeah, seriously. Interesting. Okay, so, I think somebody else buys this company. They were not going to be able to continue to raise the amount of money that they would need.
No. Which is so interesting that, Amazon did.
But Amazon did it in the public markets.
And Amazon did it before, when there was no Amazon to compete with.
Yeah, right. They built that business over a very long period of time.
Right.
And they did it financed by the public markets.
Yep.
Neither of which Jet had the luxury of doing. They had to do it super fast, and they had to do it from private market investors.
Yeah. And they definitely get picked up because investors have put a ton of money into this thing. It's not going to zero. This company is going to get picked up at some point for some kind of favorable outcome.
Yeah, and you got to imagine that was a huge part of the investment thesis for all the VCs and the mutual funds that invested in in Jet.
Yeah, and you start to wonder too, like a few months ago, do you start getting, if you're Mark Lowry, do you start getting investor pressure to be looking around?
Yeah. Like it's clear you're burning tons of capital. Like growth is there. You're building a customer base, but like you've explicitly told the market you have no profit engine.
Right.
And then you've explicitly told the market that you no longer think you can beat Amazon.
Right.
Something's got to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that was going through my head is, okay, so like, why is this? We had Taylor Barrett on last week, and he was talking about the acquisition that he thinks, or the acquisitions that he thinks go the best are the ones where the founder of that company, the company to be acquired, is excited to get their hands on the assets and resources of the larger company to make their original vision fulfilled and more successful. And what are Walmart's assets that Mark Lowry would be happy to get his hands on to make that dream come to fruition?
Yeah.
Like, why is that a good place to land for Jet?
Well, I think it's a couple things. One, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like Walmart has way more money than Jet would ever be able to raise. So
yeah, that's an interesting thing, that like if it really is true that they're going to let Jet continue to be its own thing, and it's a tall order to hold Walmart to their word of continuing to pour money into this thing. Like, we don't know what promises were made, but like, this thing needs a ton of capital to grow. Walmart's effectively the best private investor, or maybe the best, since they didn't have access to the public markets and definitely couldn't have IPO'd. It's like, hey, this is actually a great place to, if they're committed to it, fulfill our mission and just pour a ton of money into growing.
And I think that's number two, which was Doug McMillon, the CEO of Walmart. Clear. Well, at least if you listen to the interviews after the acquisition and the press release, clearly has a man crush on Mark Lowry. So, Doug has said, Mark's basically going to have carte blanche to do what he needs to do to make this a successful business and all the resources he needs. And then I think the third asset that if I'm Mark, I'm excited about is the customer base of Walmart. Like, the vision of Jet originally was like serve, the middle class Americans that are price conscious, and that's Walmart's customer base.
Yeah, that's true. And then before we move on, there was one other thing I was thinking is, it's really difficult to compete with Amazon now, merely because of how razor thin their margins are. And Amazon, famously, your margin is my opportunity. Mm-hmm. It's a Jeff Bezos quote from a long time ago when they were starting Amazon, and he was saying that about Walmart. That they were making a few 3, 4, 5% of profit margin on each sale, and Amazon makes in the neighborhood of 1 or less. And Amazon was growing up in this world where there was opportunity to compete on price there, and Jet had a really hard time, obviously, competing with Amazon price, since there just wasn't much margin left. Do you know of any historical precedent where there was already a race to the bottom, the one company became dominant because they were incredibly cheap on razor thin margins? Like, how were they upended? How did they, because presumably you have to compete with them on some other axis, or some new technology comes around and upend them.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Like, I think about like Microsoft, or traditionally, the whole "your margin is my opportunity" quote applies to high margin businesses.
Right.
Like, Microsoft's problem was they made so much money on Windows that they couldn't transition fast enough in the last generation to a world where the operating system is commoditized by the browser. But if you already are operating in a world where you're a commodity, it's super hard to get disrupted.
Yeah, and that goes right into my tech theme. This is such a classic innovator's dilemma.
Yep.
I mean, for 20 years now, Walmart has watched and their biggest fear materialize, where Amazon just grows and becomes this mega behemoth and starts stealing their business. But they can't seem to compete, because what that would involve is cannibalizing their incredible business and building a super low margin business. And that might be a long-term strategy and might be the necessary long-term strategy to stay alive, but they're a publicly traded company. Like, how do you tell your shareholders, the next 10 years are going to be pretty rough going because we're undercutting ourselves and building this thing that makes way less money for a long time.
Yeah, super hard. I mean, and again, we're in a minute, we're going to grade this, but man, it's hard for Walmart out there right now. Like, on the one hand, like, they spent a lot of money for something that I think at least Ben and I feel like is still going to lose to Amazon. Like, Walmart's still going to lose and Jet's still going to lose. But they spent $3 billion, 3.3. Like, that's not a lot of money to Walmart. So, it's a shot.
Yeah.
It's a better shot than they'd have on their own.
Right. I was thinking about that in the lens of, like, how do I want to evaluate this? It definitely puts them in a more favorable position than they were. But unfortunately, I think we have to evaluate on the lens of, is this actually worth that much money? Where that falls flat, and I think what my real position is you kind of have to do an expected value calculation and figure out, like, what do you think the chances that this thing actually succeeds are?
that Jet will return in profit dollars more than $3.3 billion.
Yeah, and like taking a 20-year time horizon, I mean, this is like a potentially $1 trillion
category.
Yeah. So
I mean, there is a non-zero chance that Jet can either beat Amazon or become a meaningful number two. Like, we could be wrong.
Right. Let's say this becomes a $1 trillion business. I mean, if there's a 1% chance that it succeeds, the
expected value is still
10 billion, right? Like, that it actually it's great, 3x.
Yeah, exactly. This is the art of being an investor versus the science. Like, what are these probabilities?
Yeah, and assigning 1% and assigning $1 trillion are super arbitrary. But the magical nature of the whole thing is it's binary. Like, either it's really going to work and it's going to be company saving, which we're both saying is the very unlikely,
but it could happen.
Yeah, or it's definitely not going to work. And we know for a fact, or let's say that it was the far more likely outcome if they didn't acquire Jet, is that Walmart just was going to totally lose. Like, they could not have competed with Amazon on their own.
And back to the people thing, right? Like, man, $3.3 billion is an expensive acqui-hire, but like, who would Walmart be able to recruit to go be a senior leader at Walmart who would see them through, guide them through this, last stand, that actually really knew how to do e-commerce and knew it from the best and knew it from the inside of Amazon? Like, nobody.
Yeah, and if you're recruited to be that exec, you have this uphill battle of recruiting all the people that are talented to come work at Walmart with you. This way you get to bring like a world-class team.
Yep.
Even if you're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
I feel like we're bleeding into conclusion, which we'll get to real quick, but two tech themes I wanted to mention quickly. One, we've touched on a bunch, but I just think this is such a, in terms of handicapping Jet's chances for success, I so totally believe in aggregation theory and Ben Thompson's aggregation theory and the idea that on the internet, the best customer experience wins. Mm-hmm. And this is where I think the logic of Jet was flawed, which is that, there's a segment of customers that care about price more than anything else, and they don't care about the other two parts of the holy trinity of, the Amazon holy trinity of retail, which is price, convenience, selection. On the internet, I think that's wrong. I think everybody cares about all those, and Amazon can offer all three to everybody, to lower class people, to middle class people, to upper class people. And who wants to think that they don't deserve great convenience and great selection? Like, nobody,
Yeah.
So I think, again, I could be wrong, but I think the logic behind Jet was flawed in that all three are important to everybody. So that's one. Two, I also think we've been really hard on Jet on this episode, but it also is a little bit of the faster horse thing to me too. Like we were talking about, what's going to actually disrupt Amazon? I don't think it's Jet, Jet is a faster horse. Like what'll disrupt Amazon is like drones, or 3D printing or virtual reality.
Right. And it's so interesting to look at Walmart acquiring Jet. It's like, okay, cool. Jet can be competitive on price, much like Walmart was already always competitive on price, and their business model was to make a little margin. Amazon has this different business model where they've created this incredible flywheel where they make a small margin on third-party sellers for using the platform. Oh, yeah, and then they also charge those third-party sellers that use Fulfillment by Amazon for like leasing space in their warehouses. They've created this totally
and running their websites on AWS.
Right. They've created this totally different business model that's not making a couple pennies on every transaction. It's like having a percentage of every piece of the back end and the logistics leading up to that transaction.
Yep.
And I think they're playing a different game.
Yep. Whereas Jet fundamentally was playing the retail business model.
Yeah.
Okay. Conclusion.
D. Like it's not an F because Walmart had to do something.
Yeah. I'm gonna go C for the reason that I was saying a minute ago, which is like they had to do something, and this I think was the best that they could do. Like again, they weren't going to hire like what search firm in the world is going to take on that job of like hey, the JD says build Amazon within Walmart. Like nobody who's actually capable of that is going to take that job.
Yeah. So you think this is just as good as YouTube?
Okay. C-.
Our grading system's all slidey. And
We're all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we got for Jet. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun doing.
Got a couple sections.
Couple sections to wrap up quickly here. Follow-ups. Ben, did you see the new Star Wars trailer during the Olympics? Lucasfilm follow-up alert.
My God. So my spoiler alert, and let's give about 5 seconds of me talking to
spoiler
to
for
people.
The trailer, not for
it's
any
still
movies.
there are dedicated people who don't want to watch the trailers. My favorite tweet of the whole thing. So obviously there's this incredible moment at the end where you get about a half second where you see Darth Vader, and it's like
dun, 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 dun,
it's amazing,
dun, dun.
right? And I don't know how much we want to get into this on the show, but Twitter's become this place that is not necessarily the greatest place to hang out all the time for all people. And I'm going to look up the actual tweet. Here it is. It's from Craig Hockenberry, the developer of Twitterific. Everyone's worked up about seeing Darth Vader for half a second. Seeing a strong female protagonist for the other 215 is more important.
Yeah. Love that.
It was awesome. It was like...
Mic drop.
I know. I found myself, like, I saw that right after I saw the trailer, and I'm thinking, oh, like, I and the rest of America and the world are all worked up about Darth, and there's this incredible shift going on in, like, the world where the most anticipated movie of this year has a amazing, strong female lead.
Yeah, as did the previous Star Wars movie.
Yep.
Disney just continues to be a stellar steward of Lucasfilm and Star Wars, and like, man, 2 Star Wars films in 2 years, and then we're gonna get 3 in 3 years.
Right.
Awesome.
And we're like so amped up about this trailer and
with
this
strong
story.
female protagonists.
Right. And we've never met any of these characters. Like, these are except for that little quick clip of Darth Vader. Like, these are people that exist in a universe that we're invested in, but we aren't invested in a single one of these characters. So, tremendous job to Disney as usual.
Okay, new section that we're adding. This will be very quick. But we got several requests for this. Is hot takes.
Yeah, thanks for throwing this out in the Slack as an idea.
Yeah, there have been a ton of M&A transactions happening recently. It's like they're coming hot and heavy.
We should do an episode just based on like
what is going on in the market.
Happening?
Yeah, we could do some fun stuff. So 4 that we have today. For the idea here is we're going to do 30 seconds or less quick takes on these deals. Number 1, Verizon acquiring Yahoo.
Yeah. Like,
I feel like we just did that episode, so we don't have to do that.
Man, I saw this great more great tweets about like that Verizon, that Yahoo is going to be like the fabric that holds all of Verizon's AOL assets together or something. It's like, I have no idea what that means.
That's like random startup generator,
right?
that you have a history in, Ben.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
We won't get into that here.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, Lyft turns down acquisition offer from GM. Reportedly.
It better have been really low. Like, to me, I don't know if there's a strong place for a second player here. I think that ride sharing lends itself to a winner take all dynamic because density is so important.
Customer experience.
Yeah, like if
I wait 2 minutes for an Uber versus 10 minutes for a Lyft, I'm opening up Uber every time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remain bullish. I tried to start a company a few years ago called Red Ride that was a ride-sharing aggregator, and I remain bullish on aggregating all the other options, but I don't think there is a way that you can be almost exactly like Uber, but slightly worse without like a different value prop.
That's never been a winning value prop. I'm going to be exactly like X, but I'm going to be slightly worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Close to home, Microsoft acquired local Seattle startup Beam.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see what they're going to do with it. I mean, we don't know how big the deal was. Beam was an incredibly fast-growing Twitch-like service that enabled interactivity and a lot of features that weren't available
so that
on
you
Twitch.
could actually play games, or you could
influence
things that were happening in the game while somebody else was playing.
Yeah. Great job to that company for building something that caught on so fast. Techstars and all their other
super young,
folks
incredibly talented founders. Big congrats to everybody there.
Yeah, to me, I think they're going to meld into whatever is part of the broader gaming strategy right now.
Yep.
But I don't think that they're going to like bet on Beam being this distribution vehicle to compete with Twitch.
Not Twitch. I mean, Twitch is a juggernaut, so but will be great as part of Microsoft. Okay, final one, Monster.com getting acquired by Randstad.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
It's so funny thinking about like early days of LinkedIn when that was getting started. That Monster was the thing with the Super Bowl commercials, right? Monster was like the place that before I was thinking about jobs,
I think the deal size was a little over $400 million, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's what, a 50th, less than a 50th the size of the LinkedIn deal.
Yeah.
And, the trend there, like, let's call it what it is, network effects are so powerful. A flat site like Monster is just never going to compete with a site that has all the right network effects and incentives that LinkedIn does.
Network effects, they are a thing.
We should just rename the podcast to
That's
Network
what
Effects.
Yeah. Aggregation theory, network effects, flywheel.
Perfect.
Boom. We don't have to do any more episodes. Okay. Carve Out. What you got, Ben?
All right. So another podcast for me. It is a previous Carve Out that I had was a talk at Google by Michael Maupassant.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, incredible. And he has this great book, Untangling Skill and Luck, The Success Equation. He has a podcast episode where he is on the Masters in Business podcast. It is a Bloomberg News publication, and really, really good. He talks about a lot of the same things, but applies it more to fund management, about luck versus skill. He talks about a lot of the things that we all know, but get caught up in the glitz and glamour of what company is hyper growth right now, and he kind of like brings it home and makes you realize investing is more about identifying mispriced assets and places where you have an information mismatch, and then using that information to your advantage. And everyone is very, very focused on, will Amazon go up? So I'm going to put money in Amazon, but how there's all these other strategies around using information to your advantage to identify and bet on mispriced assets.
Oh man, you set my heart aflutter. I thought you were going to say that Michael was starting a podcast of his own, and that would have been like the most amazing thing I'd heard all month. Sadly no. But Michael, if you're listening, you got to get on here. But just to add on to that really quickly, he also did release a about 20-30 page piece this month or last too, with sort of 10 top eternal truths of investing, and it's so good. He is just a treasure.
Are we both following Bill Gurley on Twitter?
I think we are.
I think that's both of our source.
Yeah, I think that's both of our source. I have a non Bill Gurley carve out though.
All right.
Mine is actually Strava, which is an app for iPhone and Android designed for working out, for bicycling, for running, for swimming. And it is so fun. I bet a lot of our listeners are already on it, but Ben and I went for a long, at times ill-fated, but really fun bike ride this weekend. And we both used Strava to track our ride. And it's just like, the app is so well done. Back to customer experience. Like, it's the little things. Like, we didn't have to tell Strava that we were biking together, but at the end of it, because it knew that it was tracking us, our rides, and that it was 90% plus together, it joined our rides together. And then to all of our friends who are following us on the app, like, it was Ben and David rode together, and
right.
And your friends give you kudos, and just like the all of the little the segments, there are
the leaderboards.
It's so well done, and it makes working out and exercising in outdoors, which I love to do anyway, just that much more fun.
And it makes you feel like you're part of a community, which is super cool too.
And their marketing and brand is just like
yeah.
so on point.
If you like to bike or run, like, just go watch all their videos that they've produced.
It'll make you like literally go out the door and start running.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, listeners, now is a great time to talk about one of our favorite companies, Statsig.
Yes, long-time acquired partner. There is a reason why the best product teams at companies like OpenAI and Notion, Atlassian, Figma, Rippling, Brex, and more rely on Statsig, whether they are iterating on their core product features or shipping AI-powered experiences at scale.
Yep. In the crazy speed of today's AI world, shipping fast is just table stakes now. It's basically trivial to build and deploy your app constantly. The real advantage is how quickly you learn what changes actually created value for customers, and how fast you can use that signal to guide what you ship next. Whether it's a feature tweak, a pricing change, a performance improvement, or an AI update like a model change or prompt adjustment, they're not relying on instinct. They're measuring what actually moved engagement, retention, and ultimately revenue. And as more teams build with AI, that learning loop becomes even more important. Building with LLMs introduces non-determinism into your product experience. The same input doesn't always produce the same output, and behavior can shift in subtle ways in real-world use.
So doing offline evals will give you part of the picture, but you can really only understand the impact once your product is live with real users, and then you can measure how their behavior actually changes. It's very different than the way that you would ship features in a pre-AI world where you knew exactly what the software was going to do in production.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is where Statsig comes in. It brings experimentation, feature flags, and product analytics into one unified system so teams can ship safely, test rigorously, and directly link what they changed to how users actually behaved. The result is a tighter feedback loop and learning that compounds over time, so you don't just ship more, you ship better.
So if you want to make learning your competitive advantage, whether you're building new AI experiences or just evolving your existing core product, go to statsig.com/acquired to get started.
All right, that's it. If you aren't subscribed and you'd like to hear more, you can subscribe now from your favorite podcast client. And if you feel so inclined, we'd love a review on iTunes or a tweet or a post on Facebook. So thank you so much, and have a great day, everyone.
We'll see you next time.
Who got the truth? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you?